Welcome to Excellence in Utilities. My name is Jordan Squire, and this is the weekly 10-minute podcast that explores how the utilities sector can unlock its hidden excellence. In every team, every process, and every challenge, the potential for excellence already exists. Join us each week as we uncover how utilities can tap into the excellence from within, uniting purpose, people, and process to deliver sustainable performance, transformation, and lasting impact. This week, I'm delighted to welcome Sonja Allen as our guest speaker. So we'll start from the basics, Sonja. Why do so many strategies in utilities never make it off the page?
I think because way too often we treat strategy as a technical exercise, like a plan, a framework, a glossy deck. You can picture it, right? Leaders head off on a 2-day away day. They roll in the consultants who roll out the models. You get enough Post-its to cut down a small rainforest, cover the walls. But by Monday morning at the pumping station in the call center, nothing has changed. And that isn't necessarily a failure of intention or intent. It's a failure of connection. Strategy that doesn't reach the people who are supposed to deliver it is almost an arbitrary exercise. And you know what? I've sat on those offsites, and even there in that room, when the leaders are plastering the walls with Post-its, you can feel the cynicism and you can see the doubt on people's faces. Kind of when I think nobody's looking. Because people know that when they get back to the real world, nothing will change because the system that creates the change hasn't been well defined or isn't there. It's all a great idea in principle, but kind of never going to happen, and that's written over everybody's faces. Strategy that's built in isolation is a lifeless doctrine. It ignores the obvious thing and the core of it, that strategy lives in people. It's a social thing, it's an emotional thing, it's non-linear, and it's only ever as strong as the conversations that shape it. In utilities, I think that matters even more than in other sectors. You can't run a water network on a PowerPoint deck. You need strategy that flows through the organization like the systems you manage. It needs to be visible, it needs to be discussable and owned at every level, not treated as a boardroom artifact. When you treat it like that, it dies in delivery. But when strategy is done in dialogue, it becomes almost the roadmap of a movement. It's not just the what are we trying to achieve, but it becomes how do we do our purpose when it's co-created, not just at an offsite, but through habits of regular, daily almost co-creation. Then it becomes lived and it becomes understood, not just in terms of goals, but in terms of the meaning it gives people. And I think that's the shift that excellence organization make, from transmitting something that has been created by the powers that be to co-creating it together with a team, not just initially, but daily, regularly, and keeping it alive. So you're turning strategy from a leadership deliverable into an organizational capability.
That's amazing, Son. And you were saying there, obviously you see it on site and you have the ideal world where this purpose is sort of co-created and connected with everybody. But when you see this sort of disconnect and it's a purpose that's being given to someone, what does that typically feel like for the people that you see sort of on the ground doing the work?
That's a really good question, Jordan. Feels like firefighting. Reacting to bursts, reacting to outrages, compliance issues, without a clear line of sight of how this reaction connects to the bigger picture. Very often it doesn't, to be fair. Feels like cynicism. At the town hall meetings in the back, the muffled noises and teams rolling their eyes at the vision statement because they don't know, other than plastering the walls at the break room, it won't touch their daily reality. And I think it feels like fatigue. leaders that are stuck in reporting cycles, reporting to something that doesn't really connect to their daily reality and what they're doing. Frontline crews, middle management dying under the weight of improvements, and just everybody being weighed down by the weight of systems that don't really serve, I think.
So you state this sort of as the problem, and obviously there'll be some people watching going, I think our purpose is really good and we're all really connected. But what would better look like if you were describing that to somebody? If they resonate, that does sound like us. We do have the firefighting, and there is this disconnect between everybody. But we thought it was good. What would our better look like?
I think better isn't about the perfect plan, it's about shared practice. I very often recommend the Lafley and Martin Plane to Win framework to my clients. It's easy to apply, it's relatable, it's conversational, and it asks 5 almost deceptively simple questions. What is our winning aspiration? Where will we play? How will we win? What capabilities must be in place? And what management systems are required? Now, here's the key. Those questions, they only unlock value when they're asked together with your people. That's how you're turning strategy into a daily conversation rather than asking them at them. In our world of utilities, that means that these questions that link us to strategy show up in toolbox talks, in shift huddles, in stand-ups. They're becoming part of our team natural vernacular, I would say. It's not a quarterly ritual, it's an operating rhythm.
And do you have any sort of real world examples from your experience where you've seen this in person? We're talking today strategy as a social process within the utilities sector. So where have you seen this implemented well and it go well for them?
Yeah, I'm smiling because it's one of my favorite examples. I was really fortunate to amongst other partners, support Scottish Water's Improving Urban Waters program, which I do believe is an absolutely brilliant case. So they faced a huge challenge, tackling key environmental challenges and pressures at pace. Um, and they really quickly recognized that the old client contractor model wasn't going to deliver. It's too slow, too many governance loops and layers, um, not enough connection. So they went for an extended enterprise operating model, Scottish Water, together with their delivery partners and facilitators such as ourselves, working together as one team. And they set a really clear and shared goal together. They said 4 project starts per quarter. And the way they achieved that is by bringing everybody closer together. They introduced weekly office hours, where senior sponsors and the governance team came in to help the team make decisions and move decisions forward. Um, they used agile methods to keep work in progress flowing at the right level all the time. They used lean methods to problem solve, and they're really focused in on culture. Not just what are we working on, but how are we working together? How do we as a team become the most excellent version of ourselves for each other? And the results are astonishing. Around 40 projects moved to site quicker than ever. Obviously, that massively accelerated the positive environmental impact. And the team was just shortlisted for all sorts of awards like Utility Week's Team of the Year. Um, but for me, the most important thing is, this is a team that is made out of many different enterprises. There's no them and us. Those labels are dissolved. Everybody is simply IUW. And for me, that is strategy that is lived, and strategy as a social process. It's co-created, it's lived daily, it's owned by everybody, and that is why it delivers.
That sounds amazing to be a part of, Sonja. You can see why you're smiling there so much about it. Now, we're obviously talking, especially with those guys, this whole everybody's involved, the culture's there, and it's good, and purpose is going. But a lot of the time, I know we like to say that the systems can be a blocker towards that you have in place. So it could be a great culture and great engagement and things like that. But how do you design these sort of management systems, or what role do they play in making this strategy real outside of just a good culture?
The management systems are the beating heart, a well-designed management system, and this is what many organizations get wrong, isn't a control mechanism. It's a trust engine. When the management system really connects us to the golden thread and really articulates where each team is going to play and how to win, that you create a lot of freedom around that as well, and a lot of engagement. It connects people to purpose and purpose to practice. Management systems that work well, they flex when the environment shifts. They absorb learning. If something goes wrong, we improve it, and that goes into our collective learning. And they really turn the strategic intention into action. A storm hits, the regulator changes the rules, the customers demand greener services. A well set up management system will help the organization to respond to these challenges as one rather than as disconnected parts. And that's why they're so important.
And obviously now we're on this sort of management system pathway and things like that we're talking about. So for the leaders that are listening here today, we want to give them something. Obviously, we're not here just to preach. What could you actually give them as a practical step to take now to bring that strategy to life?
5 things, I think. First one is make it daily. Strategy lives when it shows up in every shift, in every huddle, in every decision. So come back to your strategy by asking those strategic questions, and then actually generally ask better questions. You create a completely different energy if you're not asking, are you on track to deliver the KPI? But you ask, what's helping or hindering our progress? So better questions is number 2. Make it visible on boards, on dashboards, on forums, so that anyone can tell in 1 second whether you're winning or losing, in 3 seconds what the trend is, and in 10 seconds what you're doing about it. Empower autonomy. Once the why is clear and the golden thread has been established through the management system, it should be up to the teams to define how they're going to do that. And connect it to meaning. Show how fixing a valve or redesigning a workflow directly ties into the bigger mission. Articulate how that makes the organization, whatever that mission is, makes it more safe, more sustainable, creates more affordable services for the communities. Yes, so make it daily, ask better questions, make it visible, empower autonomy, and connect to meaning.
So you're giving people some homework there, Sonja, really, to take away from this. But we have to explain what will happen when organizations actually sort of do these things.
Everything shifts. Clarity replaces firefighting, trust replaces cynicism, resilience replaces fragility, and energy replaces fatigue. Strategy stops being like a burden that is put on us and becomes a source of pride and energy. We create common social futures. And for me, that is why excellence is in strategy as a social process.
Thank you so much, Sonja. And I know we promised 10 minutes at the beginning. We're running for about 15 now, so we'll try and get this closed out quickly. I want to thank everybody, obviously Sonja for being here, and everybody who's watching for joining us for this week of Excellence in Utilities. Next week, our 10-minute episode will be joined by Robin Jakes, so everybody look forward to that one. We are also inviting established utilities providers to apply for our utilities benchmark study, designed to better understand, share, and collaborate around the industry, the challenges of delivering excellence. Each participating organisation will receive an excellence gap assessment, a detailed report, and a road mapping session with our team, helping you to better understand your unique journey to excellence. You can apply now To see where excellence lives in your organization, how to find it, nurture it, and sustain it using the QR code on screen or the link in the podcast overview. Thank you all for listening. Thanks once more to Sonja, and we'll see you next week on Excellence in Utilities.